Hello and welcome to Calligraphy Drills and Chill. So the idea is that you print off the calligraphy drill sheet that we're working with today, which is the 11 Calming Calligraphy Drills printable from the TPK website. It's free. You can find a link under this video. And then we will fill it out together while I talk at you. And hopefully it will be as enjoyable as listening to your favorite podcast, and you might pick up some inspiration or learn something new. So today's topic is going to be how I learned calligraphy and why I learned calligraphy. Before I get started, let's just do a quick checkup of our setup here. So I want you to have your 11 Calming Calligraphy Drills printable out in front of you. Get your favorite ink. So I've got Iron Gall ink right here, but you can use Sumi, just whatever appeals to you. Bombay inks, India inks, whatever's fine. Art water, cleaning cloth, and then either your favorite pen and nib combination. So I've got my Browse Extra Fine 66 nib and an Extra Fine 66 oblique to help me achieve a nice right-leaning slant. Or you can opt to use a pen and a nib that you're having trouble with and you want to, devote a little more practice to. And then make sure you have a good beverage. I've got my iced tea because it's the beginning of June. It's beautiful in this sunroom. I wanted something refreshing to propel me through these drills. Always good to have something without caffeine because you don't want your hands to be shaky. This is herbal vanilla tea. So now we've got everything all set up. Padding paper. Make sure you have padding paper beneath the drills. And we'll start with the ups and downs. So I'll explain how to do each drill as I do it. Ooh, the light changed. And between that, I'll, just chat with you about my calligraphy experience. So we go down for a downstroke and up for an upstroke. As per usual, make sure that both tines of your nibs are meeting the paper with even pressure. You're not exerting more pressure on one tine versus the other, and you're working at a nice slow pace, breathing, and making sure that you have good posture. Okay, so let's start with my story here. As I said, I want you to fill this out as I'm chattering with you, and there's no need to look up at the screen unless you want to. Just check out what I'm doing to make sure you're doing it right. But yeah, so I think just starting at the beginning is good. When I was a child, I was growing up in this tiny town called Colby, Kansas. So it has about 5,000 people. It's in western Kansas near the border of Colorado. There's not a lot out there. If you've driven through, you know that. But I went to this school. There was really only one school in Colby. And I had this amazing art teacher starting at kindergarten. And I had this art teacher, the same one, all the way through to my senior year of high school. And she was just really good at getting me interested in new techniques and being able to self-evaluate my work, looking at it from a distance and identifying what needed to be done differently, what needed to be tweaked in order to make it good. So I already had this interest in art, though I don't think that you have to have that in order to excel in calligraphy. Quick timeout for this surf drill. You're going to go up and then nice slow speed down here and then up and slow speed down. So anyway, my art teacher, she was great. And then after high school, I thought that I would go into the graphic design program at the University of Kansas, which is in Lawrence, Kansas, but I discovered that I had not applied early enough. It was, the graphic design school had a different deadline than the rest of the university. So I thought, okay, I would like to get out of Colby, so I'll just apply to the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences and I will study English. So that's what I did, and that ended up being a good decision because I was able to get an internship at the end of my senior year where I was an editorial intern for Ogden Publications, which does Mother Earth News. So while I was an intern there, I learned a lot about blogging, which is why we have the TPK blog today, right? I got comfortable doing that. And of course, when I was at school, I made a lot of friends too. I absolutely loved Lawrence, Kansas. I think it's the cutest little town. I still would love to go and visit, but my husband says no, it's way too humid, which it is this time of year. He has a point. But after university, I wasn't sure what to do because I knew that I didn't want to go into editing. I learned a lot at my internship and it was great, but one of the things I learned was, I don't think this world is actually for me. So we ended up, my husband and I, then boyfriend at the time, he had gotten into CU Boulder for his PhD in mechanical engineering. And Boulder is actually pretty close to Colby. It's like a 3.5-hour drive, which if you're from the middle of nowhere, that's not a very long drive. And I had always wanted to live in Boulder. So I said, you know what? Hey, I'll come with you and I'll see what I can find. See if I can get a job or whatever. So we moved to Boulder in September of 2011 and we ended up in a tiny studio apartment. I did get a job after a couple of months at a startup downtown. And I thought, okay, this is going to be great. We'll kind of get established here. So I start working at this startup. Time out. Let me show you how to do this curly drill. Just up and down. Up and down. And let me point out too how dark this iron gall ink is drying. So iron gall ink is cool because it starts off kind of a light gray and then as it dries it becomes this really intense black. Okay, so we'd moved to Boulder. I got a job at this startup. I was an office manager and I just didn't love it. There were a lot of things. I was just such a green Kansas girl, really polite Midwestern. I still am. But so this company had affiliations with the wine industry and they really knew how to party. And, at one point, one of my duties a couple of months after getting this job was to organize a holiday party. So I ended up booking a venue. It was a vodka distillery here in Boulder. And, thinking, okay, this is going to be great. Everybody's going to have so much fun. And everybody did have a lot of fun, but it was too much fun. The next day, the owner of the distillery called me and said, hey, what are you going to do about this? Because, two of the employees went into the bathroom and did something and the sink ended up falling off the wall. And then there was, a couple of broken chairs and just things that as a 22-year-old, I'm going, oh my goodness, you all are like in your 30s and how did this happen and how do I deal with it? What do we do here? So that was kind of my first indication that I was in over my head with that job. And in the meantime, not loving my job, I don't think I was really that great at it. And sorry, the light keeps changing. And I really missed my friends from Lawrence. So this is where the calligraphy comes in. I started writing them snail mail letters because I guess I just didn't really, want to take up their time talking on the phone. it never seemed like a good time for me to talk on the phone. I didn't love email because there always seemed to be this pressure of, responding really quickly to any email that you receive. And I didn't like that pressure. So snail mail seemed to be the best way to say, okay, look, this is where I am. This is what's happening. Oh, here's a sticker from this ice cream parlor we went to, etc. And in the meantime, I would be decorating these envelopes with lettering that was a precursor to calligraphy. I didn't even really know I was interested in calligraphy yet. So let's go back to my job downtown. One day I'm, sitting there thinking, okay, this just isn't a great job for me. And my supervisor, really, really nice woman, was chatting with me. And she said, sometimes I address envelopes for weddings. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, the bride and groom will hire me to write out people's addresses on envelopes so they don't have to do it because, I'm kind of interested in calligraphy. And it was like light bulb moment. Oh my gosh, somebody will pay you to do that? Really? I would love to do that. One sec. This hook drill, we start right here, apply pressure on this downstroke, and then no pressure on the upstroke or light pressure on the upstroke, pull down. And then there we go. Same thing here. Light pressure, pull down. Okay. So she tells me that she liked to address envelopes for weddings and she would get extra pocket change because of that. So this was like early 2012. It was before Etsy got like really saturated with a whole bunch of stuff. So I looked on Etsy and I realized, hey, there really aren't that many people that are doing this. And I'll bet that I can do that too. So I decided to write on a few envelopes. Honestly, I couldn't figure out how to use a pointed pen. There wasn't a lot of information available out there online about how to use it. So I used faux calligraphy. And I posted a few photos that I thought were really good. Now I realize they were, pretty amateur, but whatever. Everybody starts out amateur. And I made an Etsy shop. And it was kind of cool because I did get actually a sizable amount of clients. And, in the meantime, I'm thinking, I just really don't love this job here that I'm doing. And, it's just kind of going downhill. I didn't feel like a lot of job satisfaction. And luckily, my husband and I were at or my boyfriend at the time, we were at a nice financial spot because we didn't have student loans. We'd gone to university on scholarships. And, he had his modest salary from being a grad student, but we didn't have any expenses. We didn't have kids, just some rent to pay. So I was able to quit my job. My Etsy shop hadn't really, taken off yet, but it was like, okay, I want to, pour my energy into this. At that point, I'm 23 years old, so why not? And I did, I developed new products, which I'll put a link in this video description so you can see some of the things I sold. It was like baby shower invitations, doing envelope addressing, doing place card addressing, things like that, all in faux calligraphy. I taught myself how to use Photoshop so I could make invitations, like custom invitations for people, stuff like that. So I have this Etsy shop, right? And it's starting to gain momentum. And I think, okay, one of the things I learned at my internship was that a blog can really help to draw attention to, whatever item you're selling. And in that case, I was selling my art skills. I wouldn't call them calligraphy skills just yet at that point. So I started blogging and I didn't know really who I was talking to, didn't really understand my audience. I didn't explain to you how to do this one. You just go up and then pull down and up, and then pull down. So yeah, I didn't know my audience or really like who I was talking to, but I figure it never hurts to try. So I started, just writing and trying to draw attention to the fact that I had this Etsy shop and, I'll do your services for you. And then probably in around 2013, I thought, I just really want to learn how to use the dip pen. I see pictures online of this crazy pen with a thing sticking out the edge. I'll bet maybe it would make life easier if I used that. So I ended up buying one at Michael's, one of those plastic flanged speedball obliques, which I now know that that's not the best way to go because you need a brass flange, but that's what I started off with. And I got some India ink too. And I also, got some gold ink, some white ink, because I really wanted to learn how to make calligraphy that was gold and white. So I was trying to learn calligraphy at that point, not having really any luck because I just couldn't find any information online about how to do it. Again, this was early 2013, so not a lot of instruction available. Okay, time out. Let me show you how to do this hiss drill. We just go up and down. Whoop. Sometimes you run out at the most inconvenient spots. Okay. And down and up and down. Okay, got it. All right, so I'm trying to learn calligraphy. I'm just not having a lot of luck because there's not a lot of info available. But, I was trying. And every once in a while I would have a breakthrough, like figuring out how to exert balanced pressure on both tines of a nib. And as I was working through how to learn how to create calligraphy with a pointed pen, I would write about it on the blog. And all of a sudden, my readership just really shot up. And I realized, oh, well, other people are interested in learning this too. And, this is why they're following along on my journey. So I kept writing about calligraphy mixed with other things I'm interested in, like, watercolors, general art techniques. And the blog traffic just kept growing. And hold on here. Okay, hydration break. Okay, so I was blogging about my calligraphy learning experience and sharing tips as I discovered them. And at one point, as I'm learning and, kind of getting proficient, my boyfriend said to me, hey, when I was growing up in Peru, they used to give us these workbooks to learn cursive. They were called Coquito, and they were actually kind of fun to fill out. And I wonder if you were to design worksheets, like printable worksheets, do you think, you could sell those? Maybe we could offer a free download for now. I said, well, I don't think that would work. I think that's a terrible idea. I always think sometimes my husband comes up with ideas that are really good, but I'm like, oh no, that won't work. But I humor him. So that time I also humored him and I designed this flourish formal style worksheet. And I popped it on the website for free. Hey everybody, here's a free download. It was really elementary. I didn't even know to put slant lines into the design. These slant lines are so helpful. It didn't even occur to me because I'd never seen anything like it done. I think at that point there weren't downloadable pointed pen worksheets, or if there were, I wish I would have known about them. But people really, really liked it. And that was when we thought, okay, well, maybe I'll design, a longer worksheet and sell it for $5. So I did that with the Flourish Formal style, and I was just shocked at how many people bought it and really appreciated it. And at that point, I didn't even know to tell them what paper to print it out on. It was just, okay, well, use regular paper, I guess, and whatever ink. And now I know 32-pound LaserJet, the HP Premium. It's awesome. You see, I'm writing on it right now, and it's just great stuff. So I had that worksheet, and in the meantime, I was also taking on client work. So I was doing a lot of envelope addressing. I was doing a lot of place cards. At one point, it was really cool because this woman reached out to me. Time out. This one is a little more involved. I would actually rotate the paper to do it. And then it's just kind of a variation of what you were just doing. So you're going down like this. And that's why I have this motif on every other rectangle, because it takes a little bit to do it. Okay. So back in 2014, I wasn't even that great at calligraphy. I just developed the Caitlin style for a bride in North Carolina. And this woman reached out to me and she said, hey, I would love for you to write out my daughter's wedding invitations. There are just 12 of them. And she wants me to do it, but my hands hurt. I can't. And I think she had arthritis. And I said, well, that's, kind of a tight deadline. I think she wanted me to do it within the next month. But she said, oh, please, would you help us? I would just be so honored. I read your blog. And so I said, okay. And she said, well, first you're going to have to talk to this other person about something. And I was like, what is going on here? So this other person called me, and it was the bride's agent. And as it turns out, the bride is an actress, and the reason they wanted all of the invitations handwritten was because they only wanted, one person, a couple people knowing the information about the wedding because they didn't want paparazzi to show up. So I had to sign an NDA, which is why I can't tell you who the client was. And I ended up calligraphing these wedding invitations. Here's a sample of what they looked like. Obviously, the names have been changed. And as I did them, it was really cool because I was watching Netflix and seeing, the show that the bride was in, and also the groom was in some stuff on Netflix. And it was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that, these people are my clients. And that was really a turning point for me because I'll be honest with you, my calligraphy skills, my pointed pen skills, they were not great at that point. I was very much still learning. And I don't think you ever stop learning. I definitely wouldn't say that you ever get to a point where you're not going to, pick up new tricks for yourself or come up with new techniques. But I was new to calligraphy at that point. And it was like, well, gosh, these people could have hired anybody, in LA or wherever, and they chose my work. Time out. Okay, so this O drill, you just go up and down and up and exert pressure on that downstroke. And then we have a horizontal stroke, and then we're going up again. Exert pressure. And down, up again and down. All right, I think you got it. So yeah, that was just incredibly lucky. I really don't know. I think what made me stand out to them was the blog and my good SEO, search engine optimization at that point. When you Googled learn calligraphy or calligraphy techniques, it would often put you at the TPK blog. So at that point, I realized, oh, this, could actually be something. And I continued to take on client work for, I think, 2 years after that. And it was really fun. I had some really great clients. I would work with this wedding planner in Georgia, and, Georgia people, sweetest people. She had a great accent, just super gracious. And she would always send clients my way, and we would work together to come up with, really unique materials for their weddings, like invitation suites, the gold foil, just inspired by the bride and groom and what they wanted. And I also loved making watercolor illustrated maps, especially for Save the Dates. I thought those were super cool. But at a certain point, it was kind of like, okay, the TPK website was growing a lot. The readership was getting high, and we were selling a lot of the printable calligraphy worksheets. So it was kind of like I hit this crossroads where my two decisions or my two choices were, do I keep on taking on custom work from clients and, getting my professional satisfaction that way, or do I dive a little deeper into the website and the blog, come up with new products, and go that route? And ultimately, I decided to go the second route, where I didn't take on custom work, because I guess it came from working at Mother Earth News. I really liked the blogging component, and I still like it. And obviously being able to just spout information at you. You can see I can talk and talk. I like that. And I like the way that I can connect with people. I can help them to learn things. So that was what I ultimately chose to do. Okay, time out. This music drill, kind of like the S's, the hiss that we did up there. We just go like this, exert pressure on the downstroke, light pressure on the upstroke, exert pressure, light pressure, and it hooks to the next character. Okay? So, yeah, I chose to focus on the website, which was a really good decision for us because my husband ended up graduating from CU Boulder with his PhD in 2016. And at that point, we just wanted to take some time off and travel for a while. And since the website was, the sales were mostly digital, like, worksheets and video courses, stuff like that, we could just, leave. And we went to Europe because why hadn't we gone before? I think it was because we didn't have the time or the money for him to get a visa to go there, because he's Peruvian, and that it can be a little dicey, if you just have a Peruvian passport to go to Europe. So I think he was finally able to get a visa. Now he's a U.S. citizen. But anyway, we went to Europe and he was seeing it for the first time. And that was so cool for us to do that, go to the museums, super inspiring. We took cooking classes in Italy. But I'm going off on a tangent there. Then we went to Brazil and, just really had a lot of fun because the website was sort of this animal that could thrive no matter where we were. Well, then fast forward to 2018, I had Remy, which is our first little boy, our first child, only little boy. And it was like, okay, I don't think we'll be doing a ton of traveling. At this point, we decided he was a tough little baby. I now know that because I have a really easy, sweet little baby. And Remy was very fussy. Honestly, it would have been mortifying to put him on a plane. I never would have done that to other people. So we realized, all right, we're going to stick around Boulder for a long while. And that was when Hernan, my husband, had another idea. And he said, why don't we, pursue selling calligraphy supplies? And I said, no way. I do not want to have to deal with the logistics of that, managing people, managing inventory. But he said, you know what, I will figure out where to buy everything, the wholesalers, I'll figure it out for you, and then you can take it from there. Okay, really quick, this Valentine's drill, or Valentine, just up, then down, and then not a lot of pressure on the upstroke, and then down, oop, and then we'll do one more with guidance. Pressure on the downstroke, light pressure on the upstroke, pressure on the downstroke. So you get the idea. You're basically making a heart in every one of these rectangles, slant line rectangles. And then you loop it over to make the next heart. Okay, so Hernan was able to find wholesalers for this supplies shop. And we actually, until we had Remy, so we live in this ranch house in Boulder, and it's not huge, but it has a really nice layout. I think it's like 3,000 square feet. So again, not like a massive house, but sizable. And we had been renting out the basement on Airbnb, actually, until Remy was born, because it was like, okay, this house has so much space and it's really divided up nicely, so why not rent out the basement? But after Remy was born, he was fussy baby, and I thought, there is no way I'm gonna have people stay here and have to listen to this child just crying at night. So we ended up turning the Airbnb downstairs into this big packaging area. And it works out really well because the basement has a separate entrance. So I have these employees, all three of them that I have right now are college kids at the University of Colorado. And they'll just, come in when their schedule allows, just through the back door. I don't see them a lot of days. We don't even talk. They're super nice kids, though. And they package up TPK stuff and send it out. So that was the system that we implemented. We get these supplies, and then we put them down in the packaging area. The kids package everything up. And then the post office is just a couple of blocks away, and you could even walk there if you wanted to. A lot of times we have too many packages to walk, obviously, but it's just works out really well. So that is kind of it is the trajectory of TPK and how and why I learned calligraphy. I guess ultimately, at first I was motivated to learn how to make pretty lettering because I missed my friends back in Lawrence, Kansas, and I wanted to write letters to them. And then it became kind of a business thing. Okay, very quickly, this is our last drill. So you start off by drawing the outside. So down, and then over, and then rotate the page and go ahead and make these squiggles just like this. If you have a straight pen, if you're working with a straight pen, your rotation will probably be a little different than mine. Okay, so yeah, I started off because of personal reasons, wanting to keep in touch with my friends and make these cool envelopes. And then it became a business thing where I wanted to create cool things for clients. And that really was a fun season in the whole trajectory of TPK. And then eventually it turned into, okay, so people want to learn how to do this. So, I'll give them tips and develop my own tips and, come up with content that helps them to learn. And on that note, we have the 11 calming calligraphy drills here, which I do hope you are finding calming. We're almost done. I've also got not your average calligraphy drills packets. So I ended up designing those. I think the first one is from, I think it's 2016 or 2018. Doesn't matter, but it's got a nautical theme. So everything in that drills packet has to do with this under the sea sort of concept. So you've got drills that are like, squids with curly tentacles. And then at the end of the packet, you make this really cool flourished fish. And that seemed to be really helpful for people because sometimes calligraphy drills can be so dry. And so I went on to make a lot of themed drills after that. I've got garden drills. My favorite drill from the garden drills is this flourished hummingbird, but I also like the spider for Halloween. I have food drills, and so everything in there is themed after food, obviously. And at the end, you make this really neat flourished teapot. It looks really cool on mail art. So all of these drills you can repurpose to add to future projects like mail art or invitations, whatever, you're working on if it's appropriate. I think the teapot you could use, if you were hosting an afternoon tea, you could incorporate it into a menu or just have the artwork out on the table. Anyway, so food drills. I have fairy tale drills. I'm realizing as I've been prattling on and on, I didn't mention how I actually learned calligraphy. And the reason for that is because there wasn't really any one thing that I did that taught me. For me, it was all trial and error. So just, trying my best to make projects and figuring out, what went wrong during those projects. Like why did my strokes not look great? Or, how do I accomplish X, Y, Z? I didn't really have a guide. There was a time when Molly Suber-Thorpe's book came out, Modern Calligraphy, and I think Everything You Need to Know About the Art of Calligraphy or something is the subtitle. And it was kind of a game changer for me because I saw things that you could do like create watercolor calligraphy. I thought that was super cool. There were a lot of project suggestions in that book. I think that came out in 2014. So that was super inspiring. And then also I had people reading my blog that would reach out with basically what amounted to tips. Like Roger Maeda, he's the one who made this pen. He suggested to me that I try using the Nico G nib because it's a really great beginner nib. And that was really awesome for me. It just really revolutionized the way that I did calligraphy and my capabilities. But from Molly Suber-Thorpe's book, I found the extra fine 66 nib, learned a couple of tips from there. It was just picking up tips here and there. I do wish that I could have had some sort of course. I think that would have really jump-started my learning a lot, which is why I made the beginner's course and put it on the site, because I thought, okay, this took me, probably 3 years to really learn the basics of calligraphy. But I don't think that it really should actually take that long. It's just that I didn't have a lot of resources available to me at that time, you know, back in 2012, 2013 to learn. You do. So that's pretty great that you're perfecting your calligraphy in this day and age, because there's so many YouTube videos and so many courses and so many tips out there. And, you know, I'm honored to get to be part of your journey. So our Calming Calligraphy Drills sheet is all filled out. I hope that you enjoyed filling it out with me. I really appreciate you sitting here and listening to me talk and talk. I hope that I said at least something that was interesting. And if you liked this, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you'd like to hear me chat about. I would be happy to, you know, share with you what I know about really anything. So, yeah, enjoy the drill sheet, and thanks again.